In the chaotic mid-2000s teens, Florida became ground zero for one of the most chilling drug epidemics in recent history. A new substance, cheap, synthetic, and terrifying, swept through its cities like a hurricane of madness. This drug was Flakka. For just $5, users could buy a ticket to psychotic breaks, violent outbursts, and hallucinations so severe they blurred the line between reality and delusion. It turned quiet neighborhoods into scenes from a horror film, with people acting in ways that defied logic, and in some cases, humanity.
I love Flakka. Oh, it's just all about Flakka. Yeah, pump that. But it's how you use it.
Flakka, chemically known as alpha, PVP, is part of a family of synthetic drugs called cathinones. These are artificial derivatives of compounds found in the khat plant, a mild stimulant traditionally chewed in East Africa and the Middle East. But unlike khat, Flakka is no ancient ritual or cultural practice. It is engineered in clandestine labs, often overseas, and shipped to the United States as crystalline shards, often resembling aquarium gravel. Sold under nicknames like gravel or zombie drug, it can be smoked, snorted, injected, or vaped. Its pharmacology is deadly. Flakka floods the brain with dopamine and norepinephrine, two key neurotransmitters tied to pleasure, movement, and alertness. But this isn't a controlled high, it's a hijacking of the mind. Users may feel euphoria for minutes before descending into hallucinations, violent paranoia, or total psychosis. And once the descent begins, there's often no way back. In April 2015, Kenneth Crowder was found running naked through a suburban neighborhood in Melbourne, Florida. He shouted that he was God. Then, he tried to have sex with a tree. When officers tried to detain him, Crowder pulled out taser prongs like they were thorns in his skin. He fought back with superhuman strength, tried to stab an officer, and declared he was Thor, the Norse god of thunder. This wasn't a Marvel movie. This was a man in a state of extreme psychosis, made monstrous by a $5 drug. That same year, Matthew Kenny tore through Fort Lauderdale traffic, completely naked, frantic, and convinced people were after him. He believed his clothes had been stolen and that shadowy figures were closing in. He wasn't running from criminals. He was running from hallucinations created by his own mind under the influence of Flakka. In a scene almost too surreal to be real, Shenard Nearly tried to climb the fence of the Fort Lauderdale Police Department while high on Flakka. He ended up impaled on an iron spike, his body hanging, his mind likely unaware of the pain. It took emergency crews cutting the metal itself to get him to the hospital. Stephanie, a South Florida woman, survived Flakka, but not without scars. After taking the drug, she became overwhelmed by terror, convinced she was being hunted. In a panic, she leaped off a bridge and plunged into the dark waters below. She survived, physically, but the psychological trauma still echoes through her life. "It never really goes away," she later said. One of the most infamous incidents occurred in August 2016. 19-year-old Austin Harrouff viciously attacked a couple in their garage. When police arrived, they found him on top of one victim, gnawing at the man's face. The public quickly pointed to Flakka, though toxicology reports later found no trace of the drug. Still, the attack had all the hallmarks of the psychotic rage Flakka was known to unleash, casting a dark shadow over an already horrifying narrative. In March 2018, 32-year-old Camille Balla murdered her mother in a fit of chemically fueled madness. Authorities say she had consumed marijuana laced with Flakka. What followed was a nightmare. She gouged out her mother's eyes with shards of glass and placed them on a cardboard box as if performing a ritual. She was found in a frenzy, covered in blood, muttering incoherently. One detective called it one of the most disturbing scenes he had ever witnessed. In 2019, a 35-year-old Brazilian medical student, heartbroken over a failed relationship, turned to Flakka to numb the pain. What happened next was unspeakable. He gouged out his own eyes and attempted to amputate his genitals. He was discovered wandering the streets, naked, bleeding, and lost within his own horror. His once promising future had been derailed by a single, catastrophic decision. By late 2015, international pressure led China to tighten controls on the production of alpha PVP. Broward County, once the epicenter of the crisis, saw ER visits plummet from over 300 per month to just over 50. But the monster wasn't slain, it merely went underground. In 2020, inmate Chester Washington died in an Alabama prison after smoking marijuana laced with Flakka. His death reignited calls for reform, both in the criminal justice system and in drug control policy. And in 2022, haunting videos from prisons emerged again. Inmates convulsing, hallucinating, some screaming at invisible figures, reminders that Flakka had not disappeared. It had simply adapted to a new host, America's prison system. Flakka is not just a drug. It is a mirror reflecting the worst-case scenario of synthetic substance abuse. A cheap high with an enormous cost. It transformed regular people into tabloid monsters, turned cities into cautionary tales, and left behind families grappling with tragedy. Let the story of Flakka stand as a warning. Synthetic drugs may be affordable, but their consequences are incalculable. If vigilance slips and education falters, another epidemic may rise, from a different lab, under a different name, but with the same devastating aftermath.